Hello everyone and welcome to the 2021 BMW R 1250 GS here in the 40th anniversary edition. And it won't take too much guessing from you to know what that 40th anniversary edition means, but to spill the details, the 40th anniversary is celebrating 40 years of the production of BMW heritage of this adventure touring motorcycle. And with the 40th anniversary edition, we do have some nice touches like the decals underneath the paint here on the tank, the gold anodized handlebars and rims. There's black brake calipers and a few other GS decals found throughout. For 2021, all GSs now come with a few standard features worth mentioning. There's a new eco mode amongst the different riding modes that you have on the GS, a new dynamic traction control system as standard, and ABS Pro as standard too. On this motorcycle, there's a couple more upgrades that aren't standard for the 2021 year, including the adaptive headlight, which I love that BMW has kept this asymmetrical look on the GS, and I know this is something they're getting away from on the rest of their motorcycles for the sake of making them more beautiful, more acceptable, let's say, but I've always personally liked the irregular face on a BMW motorcycle, makes them easier to spot amongst the crowd. And for this motorcycle in front of me, it has the dynamic package, the touring package, and the comfort package, adding up to inflate its price. And the GS really is the perennial motorcycle. It's probably what BMW is known best for. And that's what makes me particularly excited to try out this GS. It's the one that everybody knows about. It's what's revered as potentially one of the best all-rounders in the entire motorcycle industry. So let's swing a leg over it, go for a ride, and I can tell you what I'm experiencing from behind the handlebars. Okay, so one thing that I failed to mention in the beginning is that this is the standard version of the GS. There is also an adventure model which has chunkier tires, built-in crash bars, a little more plastic around the beak, and really makes it a wider, larger vehicle, and of course with chunkier tires makes it a little more off-road focused. It has a 40mm overall advantage over the standard model, as the chunkier tires offer about another 20mm, and the additional 20mm comes from the suspension height. The engine, the chassis, and the suspension and the drive shaft is shared with the R 1250 RT, and getting onto this motorcycle you can quickly tell the weight difference, just how nimble this thing is to throw into a corner or quickly turn around like I'm about to do right here. There's a lot less thought and a lot less preparation that goes into doing something like that on the GS than what there was on the RT. Still the 1254cc boxer twin engine that makes 136 horsepower and 105 pound-feet of torque with variable valve lift. And you can tell in front of you that there's just a lot less mass, a lot less plastics to look through, a lot more space to move your legs around, and I feel like I sit a little more upright on the GS. The seat is lower, the tank goes up closer to my belly button than what the RT did, and it is just overall very comfortable. The seat is spongy and the suspension works just so well that it just tenderizes the road in front of you. You ride over the poor pieces of road or potholes, whatever it is, just to have that thrill of knowing you're on such a well-engineered product that it can kind of do whatever it wants in road conditions such as these. On this motorbike we also have the adaptive suspension system, so with this button on my left hand side you can change the spring and dampeners to go from a road mode to a dynamic mode, and the difference is immediate and quite substantial actually. When you go from road to dynamic, the whole bike just tightens up a bit. It still remains comfortable, in no way gets firm or harsh, but it just doesn't feel like you have that additional motion of going up and down where that spongy seat helps absorb blows a little further. My favorite thing about being on the GS though is just looking down right in front of you and seeing those forks jiggle up and down. They're obviously working away hard, but it's just not transmitted in any way to yourself or the rest of the motorcycle. It's remarkable, honestly. Things I don't like on this motorcycle though, I do wish that as we are on a 2021 that is shared with the RT, that would have the larger screen where the Drive Connected app was a little more thoroughly integrated. Here on this bike we have the additional navigation touchscreen that is integrated to the buttons that you do on any other high-end BMW motorcycle, but it does appear to be a little bit of an afterthought. It takes you back to 2005 where Google Maps was in its infancy and cars were just getting screens in them. It's not terrible, it works, it gets the job done, but it's just not the nicest thing to look at. In addition to that, I do wish that the cables leading into the top of the cylinder heads, which I'm sure are to activate the variable valve lift, I wish that was cleaned up a little bit. It doesn't look ugly, and I don't think that systems are going to fail on it, but just how beautiful the cable management is up here on the handlebars, I wish the story was the same and it isn't down below my knees. A couple other things to mention on this bike. We do have standard cruise control, but it doesn't have the feature like the RT did where you can shift gears and the speed remained intact. If you were to do any shifting up or down, it cancels the system, so you'll have to re-engage it. On this GS we have the expandable hard cases that can be detached, and on the left side it is large enough for a helmet. On the other side, not the same story, as it is shrunk a little bit to accommodate for the exhaust system and the heat shielding mounted to the other side of it. So the GS then, the obvious choice, and still one of the most remarkable choices in the industry. It just does everything. I have a few very minor complaints about it, but it's just astounding how well sorted of a machine this is, and there's absolutely no surprise to me as to why it is so popular, and it's gone on for 40 years and will more than likely go on for another 40 years as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to watching this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all of those other great things really help me out a lot. See you around here soon.